Hello, and welcome to Gen Z's America. I'm your hostess, Crazy Aunt Nay. This episode is all about how to do your own research. I don't think they do a great job of teaching this in school anymore, and they certainly don't teach you how to distinguish between good or bad sources of information. At the end of this video, you will hopefully be more comfortable and more confident in your ability to find truthful information. So let's get going. The first rule to remember in being a good cynical researcher is the same rule we learned in How to Critically Think. Trust no one, believe nothing, until it can be proven and substantiated to you. Until then, just assume it's total, complete bullshit. When I was in grade school, there was no such thing as the internet, the interweb. We had to learn how to find information in books in a library. We used the Dewey Decimal System, dictionaries, and hard copy encyclopedias for research information. You could also use studies and academic papers that had been put through a rigorous process and were considered proven out and a reliable source. These were considered the reliable source or valid information from which to build any further discussion or additional research. You wouldn't build upon something that was proven to be false or wrong. What would be the point? Your effort would be for nothing. As soon as the foundation of your findings is found to be false, you would be labeled a laughingstock and not taken as a serious or intelligent person. When the internet became a thing when I was in college, no serious professor would let you use information you found there as a valid source anywhere. If you used information you found on the web, you were failed immediately. What's changed? We have learned to trust information on the internet. Some people have become lazy and trust all information they see there without putting it through further scrutiny. This is why there's such a battle between mis and disinformation. Now the commies who want to control what people are allowed to consider as real information want to remove, censor, or limit information people are able to obtain on their own to draw their own conclusions. This is a major mistake. Everyone who loves freedom and the liberty of their own brain to decide for themselves about things should be very opposed to any government, social media company, news network, or anything that is trying to control this for you, for your own good. Not to mention, how insulting is this to you? The premise of this argument that people will believe incorrect information and can't figure it out themselves and labeling it as dangerous is insulting. They're saying you're stupid. You can't figure it out if something isn't truth. So they have to do it for you because you're so stupid. So now the internet is used almost exclusively for research. No one opens a book to look up something they can find with a few keystrokes in their own hand. This is a marvelous invention, but the downside is it has made people lazy. In order to get accurate information from this invention, you have to be intellectually engaged. First, become aware of the sites that have greater credibility than others. For instance, I know in school you used Wikipedia a lot. Did you know that Wikipedia gets its information from anyone on the internet that wants to write what they think they know about something in there? This information is not vetted as valid by anyone. That said, for super basic facts, it can sometimes be useful and quick to find information there, but be aware of this. If the information it's giving you seems skewed, wrong, or stupid, it probably is. A better source would be Encyclopedia Britannica. Keep in mind, this is a difficult proposition these days because some sources of information that used to have rigor and standards are now being used intentionally to lie to you, such as many government sites that are putting political opinions on sites we used to be able to trust, like the CDC and FDA. As we saw during COVID and discussed in statistical correlation and data bullshit, they changed data points baselines and just made things up. They changed previously static and consistent definitions of words and just changed them, like vaccine. You can't believe everything you read. So what can we do? Keep researching. Remember, In the scientific process, we learned that if something is valid, it requires that anyone can validate it by doing the same experiment themselves and getting the same result every single time. Research is like that. To get to the truth of a matter, keep researching. The information should be validated and corroborated by many other sources, and there should not be a valid dissenting view. If there is, you are either talking about opinion or belief, which doesn't require hard, settled facts. It's fine to have an opinion, as they say, just like an asshole, everyone has one. But from a research for facts and truth perspective, none of that matters. Another thing to watch out for these days is the commies' attempt to validate their lies by carefully constructing corroboration. It doesn't make it real. What does that mean? In a scientific study, we learned you have a hypothesis. You do an experiment and observe something, and you form a conclusion. If this leads us to a fact like gravity, every time you throw the apple up, it comes down, this will be corroborated by other people's experiments, news reports on it, or other people talking about it. If you want someone to believe a lie, you manufacture this corroboration. Gravity isn't real. You have experts write papers claiming they did studies where they threw up the apple and it didn't come down. You get news outlets to run stories on the studies and findings. You get other people to talk about it over and over on shows, on social media, and the like. How long do you think it would take before some people honestly believe gravity isn't real and has been made up all this time, even though they can test it and see it for themselves? This is how you create mis or disinformation. Then you label true findings, the apple came down every time, as the misinformation and dangerous so that this fact won't spread and expose the lie. This is what you have to be on the lookout for these days. It's very important to do your research. Really put any information or any person you want to put your trust in or to believe what they're telling you through your own scrutiny test. Then still stay vigilant. Sometimes someone we trust who is trustworthy just gets something wrong unintentionally. Also remember, Satan will tell you 1,000 truths to get you to believe one lie. So remember, the theme to being a critical thinker, good researcher, and not a sucker is to always be cynical. Check multiple sources. Don't trust the internet at face value. Keep researching until you have reached a foundation you are certain is correct, and then go check that conclusion against 5 more sources. Make at least half of your sources of information be in the real world and not digital. Happy researching!